We all know there's nothing like a good hair day. If my hair looks good and I have nowhere to go, suddenly I'm running to Walmart, I'm going to Target, I'm doing every public errand I can. But hair is about more than looking good. For people like me, hair isn't a plus. It's a baseline. It's something that showcases our personality or our rebellion. It's something that makes strangers strike up a conversation on the street and become friends. It's honestly a part of who we are. And the economics say it too. According to a Nielsen study done in 2018, Black women spend 900% more on hair care-related products than their non-Black counterparts. Now, maybe this speaks more to my fiscal responsibility, but if I had $2 left to my name and my hair wasn't done, I'd spend $1 on hair. Now, besides caring for hair and loving hair, how else is it important to me? Well, it's also my dream career. Now, before I transferred to Cornell, I was just a wide-eyed 18-year-old from Baltimore at Loyola University, Maryland. At that point in my life, I still called my mom on Sundays to bring me groceries. I was really just a kid. At Loyola, and at most college campuses, off-campus shopping just felt impossible. When you were on campus, you were safe. When you were off of it, especially more towards the West Baltimore side, it was a bit of a different story. And I don't mean that lightly. In 2021, the FBI reported that West Baltimore had 724% more violent crime than the national average. Couple that with me being a young girl in unfamiliar territory, it was simply a no-go zone. And that usually didn't matter to me, except for when I needed to get hair care products. The nearest specialty store was about 3 blocks down, close to the heart of West Baltimore. It was so unnerving, I had to bring my roommate with me just to go to the store. We had to pass through cop cars, drug dealings, rehab centers, just to get some more shampoo. So I tried to turn to all of America's most popular online websites, and it just felt icky and isolating. As a consumer, why do I constantly need to be reminded that I'm a Black woman, the elephant in the room whose needs are so different from everyone else, when I just wanted to get moisturizer? Have you ever heard of shampoo for white men? Or a retail store having a Caucasian aisle to counter their ethnic one? It just sounds ridiculous. I was looking for conditioners, and I found caricatures instead. Now, this idea to have accessible products that you could easily trust was something that wasn't unique to me. It was something that every conversation I had with every person I cared about felt the same way. My roommate, Imanike, who hated our walk to the store just as much as me. My mom, who had to take time out of her schedule just to go to the beauty mart. Or even my younger brother, who just hated going into the girly aisle to get lock gel for his hair. People in my community just wanted to easily get products that they could trust. But a platform like that didn't exist. So I created it. I started by meeting with local store owners, asking how we could create a distribution channel for people who lived in isolation like me. We tried and tested, and after months of iteration, I came up with a business called Ethosphere, whose objective was to bring accessible products to people and ethnic consumers around the nation. I really honed in on my community. I spotlighted Black ladies at campuses across the nation. I made textured educational kits and research kits on how to take care of your hair. And I realized when I solved my problem, I solved a lot of other people's problems too. Within the first 12 months of our pilot project, we had already shipped hundreds of products to people in 40 out of 50 states. You would never see a caricature on Ethosphere. There would never be a reminder that you're the elephant in the room. Ethosphere was creating this accessibility while giving the comfort that I never had. Now, when I first started building Ethosphere, I was building from the consumer perspective. But But I soon realized that ethnic entrepreneurs were going through the same thing. The distribution channels offered took months to get into, or once they got into them, the fulfillment and commission rates were so high, it made it hard for them to scale. I had hundreds of customer discovery calls, and I realized that this system wasn't really built to help ethnic entrepreneurs succeed. Sellers needed us too. So we developed into a marketplace, connecting our buyers to our sellers. Now, this idea to connect ethnic buyers who want ethnic products to ethnic sellers who make ethnic products seemed rudimentary. It's basic business. You're connecting consumers who want a product and sellers, and you're giving them access to each other. I was simply doing my version of what every business already does. I was honestly surprised that something like this didn't already exist on a national scale. So when I went running to investors, ready to fundraise, I thought this would be a home run idea for anybody interested in making money, but they made it very clear to me that they did not see it that way. They told me that what I was building was simply a social impact business, and that I was a social entrepreneur. They didn't see what me and a 2022 McKinsey report saw. They saw that this is a multi-billion-dollar untapped opportunity to solve real problems that real people have. But investors couldn't see that. One investor told me I didn't meet the mental heuristic that they had of an entrepreneur. They told me to stick to the black funds or stick to the women funds, that I was merely a social entrepreneur building a social impact business. And that's what I'm really here today to talk about. What the hell is social entrepreneurship? We have clubs and courses and classes here at Cornell on social entrepreneurship and social impact businesses. But what is that? Now, just to keep us all on the same definition, the same page, social impact businesses are typically referred to as organizations that consciously and systemically attempt to solve a community need. Now, that community is usually ventures serving women, serving low-income groups, or serving minority communities. But this wasn't always a bad thing, and honestly, it's not even a new thing. It's actually been around for quite some time. Now, social entrepreneurship was first introduced by Howard Boehm in his book, The Social Responsibilities of a Businessman. This was done in 1953. Then in 1972, Joseph A. Banks came up with his book, The Sociology of Social Movements. Now, in both instances, social entrepreneurship was theoretical. It was a way for humans to solve human problems. It then shifted into practice in 1980. This was done by Bill Drayton and his company, Ashok. Ashok was a global crisis company, and with its success, social entrepreneurship seeped into the mainstream. It was initially called cause-related marketing. This was most famously done in 1983 by American Express. They pledged a penny in donations for every new card issued towards the Statue of Liberty. And the campaign really could not have had better results. Within the first 4 months, card applications were up by 45%. Card usage was up by 28%. And within 4 months of their campaign, they managed to raise $1.8 million in penny donations. Now, in the early 2000s, entrepreneurs shifted away from mission marketing and made their motto their mission. There was a shoe company, Tom's, founded in 2006, and with it came the emergence of the one-for-one giving model. This was later adopted by companies such as Bombas with socks, Smiled Squared with toothbrushes, and WeWood with planting a tree for every watch purchased. But lately, this title of social entrepreneurship has stopped helping entrepreneurs and has started hurting them instead. In my local startup circles, anybody trying to raise traditional venture capital typically shies away from calling themselves a social entrepreneur. And it isn't just for no reason. The data shows that if you embrace this title, funding likely is not coming your way. Just in February, Harvard Business Review reported that of all venture capital dispersed, less than 3% of it goes to women entrepreneurs. Less than 2% of it goes to Black-owned ventures. And less than 1% of the over $200 billion venture dollars dispersed goes to Latinx companies. Now, in the best case scenario, considering that none of these founders have any overlapping identity, which is clearly false because I'm 2 of 3 and I'm standing right here, but in the best case scenario, less than 6% of all venture capital goes to underrepresented founders. This once crowning title of social entrepreneurship now puts founders in a fixed and immobile box. We're stripping them of the props and the titles that they deserve for their hard work and their creative solutions. Most importantly, we're telling founders who dare to take on the nation's most neglected pain points that they're less deserving of capital. But here's the thing. All entrepreneurship is social entrepreneurship. All businesses are social impact businesses. When we say social entrepreneurship, we're implying that it's a subset of entrepreneurship. But that's wrong, because all businesses are made to solve real problems that real people have. Take Uber. The entire reason for ride-sharing apps is to democratize access to transportation. You're connecting people with cars to people who don't have them. That gives unprecedented autonomy. That is social entrepreneurship. Or even Apple. The secret sauce to their success is embedded in the social features of their devices. FaceTime for phones, blue bubbles to signify sameness. Their simple and intuitive user interface connects families and friends. Their devices create community. That is social entrepreneurship. Or even the Da Vinci machine. One of the latest and greatest technologies made in modern medical history, is also an example of social entrepreneurship. The machine helps doctors in surgery and amplifies the operation area to 10 times what the human eye can see. This lessens the chances of surgical complications, it lessens the amount of blood loss, and it also shortens the home recovery period. There is no such thing as anything more social than enhancing the life of society. There is no such thing as social entrepreneurship. There is only entrepreneurship. All ventures, all technologies, all solve real problems that real people have. The prefix social is redundant. There is no entrepreneurship that operates without it. Okay. So we've shown that how all ventures are indeed social ventures. We've shown how the prefix social entrepreneur actually hinders those who bear it. What's next? My request is threefold. It's for my entrepreneurs, it's for my investors, and it's for my everyday people. For my entrepreneurs, keep building and keep fixing. Reject the notion that your venture is less worthy because it's only aimed at a subset of people. You are never alone in your problems, nor your solutions. Just as I was surprised how Ethosphere uplifted ethnic entrepreneurs, you might come to the same epiphany. Keep building, and you'll be surprised who couldn't imagine living without your solution. For my investors, think about why you want to invest in startups. Most likely, it's because you believe that private servants solve public problems better than public servants. So lean into that. Don't assume that a social enterprise is a charity or a nonprofit organization with low profits. Instead, assume a founder brave enough to solve their own problem probably has the perfect founder market fit. In the beauty industry, McKinsey reports that on average, Black brands make 89 times more in revenue than their non-Black counterparts. These founders understand the complexity of their consumers' products. Help them solve it. There's firms out there that already have. Innovation Works and Ignite Capital focuses on building, funding, and uplifting founders in their local community. That isn't social impact investing. That is an efficient and systemic way to allow private servants to solve public problems and help solve the real problems that real people have. And for my everyday people, if you take one thing, just one thing from this talk, let it be this. It isn't social entrepreneurship. It's entrepreneurship, period.